Blessings, beautiful souls. I'm Jules, and you're listening to Becoming Bioquantum. And it is my honor to interview our guest today, Gary Douglas. Gary is a renowned speaker, the best-selling author, and I think where most people know him is he is the founder of Access Consciousness. And I know he has been working on a lot of fun things. I want to definitely talk about your project down in Costa Rica. I know you also have a new book that is just so many wonderful things. But before we go into talking about all that, Gary, why don't you just tell us a little something about yourself that maybe not everybody knows, and then we'll start our conversation.
Okay. So the first thing is I don't consider myself the founder. I consider myself the perpetrator of Access.
Mhm. I love that.
I'm the guy who puts it out there and people either choose it or don't. I
Yes.
think it's pretty amazing because we're in 178 countries out of 193. And we never advertise. People just tell each other about what they have, which is amazing. And it's like we are in the Middle East, we're in Saudi Arabia, we're in Dubai, we're in India, we're in, and it's like I go to India because they consider me a guru. Now,
Mhm.
I always tell people it's like, my co-founder, Dane here, I said, I'm the goo, I'm sticky, he's the roo, he's saucy, and between us, we're a guru. You know, and it's like I don't see any reason to take yourself so seriously.
Mm.
It's like years ago when I was doing a little drug, sex, and rock and roll, like all the time. Uh, I had a wild and crazy early life. And when I did drug, sex, and rock and roll, I used to, while on drugs, I'd write this profound poetry. And then
Mm.
I'd read it the next day and I go, what the fuck was I thinking? Because it never made any sense after I got sober,
Mm.
after I got off drugs. So it's like I thought that I was getting more conscious. I thought I was getting more of things. And I began to realize, wait a minute, maybe we should look more carefully at what we're choosing to see how our choice creates rather than what we think is going to create the result we think we're going to get. And that's how access sort of came about.
In the most powerful way through experience.
Yes.
And, there's one way of learning where we just learn through the intellect. But when we really step back and we look at our choices and we start to let our choices show us what's beyond what we can hold in our mind is when everything starts to open up. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Of So this was kind of the beginning part. And so tell us the story, like what came next?
Well, it's like I was a literature major when I was in college. And so I read all the great, artists, the Camus and the Prousts and the Shakespeare's and, you know, and the Oscar Wildes. And it's like, and I looked at it and I went, okay, so, Voltaire called it the best of all possible worlds. I said, if this is the best of all possible worlds, then this is all I have to choose from. This is not good enough for me.
Mm.
And I had this point of view that I think a whole lot of people, a whole lot of us have and don't admit, is my point of view is if I was God, this place would be a lot better because I would not let certain things happen. I would not let certain people be in charge. It's like,
Mhm.
why do they get to choose instead of me? And so I started looking at, okay, so if I really want to have a different world, what can I be that would change it? And that's how I came to create Access, is because I was looking for what I could be to change the world to be what I would like it to be. And I think I'm succeeding.
I would say you are, and not only for yourself, but for so many others.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. So where do we go from here? Where I want to go, I think is to your Costa Rica
Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
just because that's kind of screaming in the back of my mind. And I feel like there's some.
Okay. Well, it's like what we did is we were going to Costa Rica 3 times a year and having events. And it's like, and we asked for exclusivity at those places. And this one place said, sure, you can have exclusivity. And then they brought other people in. I said, that's not exclusivity. And it's like, you promised me. Well, yeah, but I could make $60,000 more if I did this. I said, you know what? You just lost the money I've been giving you. And I looked at all the money I'd spent and all the money that my people had spent, and we were spending $750,000 at his thing in 7 days. And he was willing to lose that to get $60,000. And I
Wow.
went, this is not acceptable. So
Yeah.
I started learning about, what it costs to run a place, what a place costs, what things cost to build, and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at all that and I figured it out. And I went, we could get our own place and have it down here, and then just, have our events, and we would pay with that $2.2 million that we were spending. We could pay for the entirety of a year of running a place. I went, let's do it. So we started looking for a place, and we found this property. I have this wonderful person, Claudia Cano, who runs El Lugar right now.
Mhm.
And El Lugar means the place, and it's after the book that I wrote called The Place, which is a novel, which explains a lot of my mentality, my point of view. And and so she found this place, and I went to see it, and I said, "Oh my God, this place is beautiful." And she said, "And this is the ugly part." I said, "What?" And it was like it was on this side of the river, and that was the ugly part from her point of view. The pretty part was the other side of the river. And she was right. When we went to the other side, it was unbelievable. And it's just stunning. So the whole thing was about 1,200 acres. And so we bought the place and started getting ready to build. So we got it about half paid off when we could go get a loan, and we borrowed the money. Now, I went to different architects. The first thing I said, okay, number one, I want it to look like it's been here 100 years,
Mhm.
and I want it to last 100 years. And they would say, oh, we don't do that here in Costa Rica. That's good. Goodbye. And after visiting 4 different architects, one said, okay, I think we can do that.
Mhm.
I went, yay, okay. So we started with them and started the process. And we built this place. And it's like if you go on, I don't know, some website that we have,
I'll put that link below.
l-lugar.com. If you go on that, I have people here prompting me because I'm technically unadvanced. And so at any rate, it's like you go there, it's like you'll see. And it's like we built the place, and it's like now it's like 63% done.
Mm.
And we have a pool and bar, and we were allowed to open up with the casitas we have in place. And people go there and they fall in love with it and they want to go back. I sent a lady that I do business with here in Texas there as a thank you for all the great stuff she'd done for me to help me buy antiques. And I sent her there with her daughter and gave them a gift of 2 nights there. And they wanted to stay, and they want to go back, and they're going back. And it's like people are, once they go there, they want to come back. Once they go there, they don't want to leave. Once you go there, and it's like one of the processes we did. It's like when in doing this, they said, well, you have to take off the top 3 meters, which is about 12 feet. You have
Mm.
to take the top 12 feet of soil off the ground to get down to bedrock so you can put in concrete foundations. I said, we're not doing concrete foundations. And they go, what do you mean? I said, we're going to do pillars. I said, you live in an earthquake zone, okay? I mean, you have volcanoes all around there. Volcanoes create earthquakes. If you're going to have an earthquake, you don't want this thing on concrete because it'll break. But
Mhm.
if you put it on pylons, it'll move. If it moves, you can always put it back on the pylon. It's like don't be silly. And so they said, oh well, that's too expensive. You'll never be able to do it. And I said, okay, goodbye. I'm not doing it. And the other thing is it's like I really am grateful for nature, and I, put nature first. So I said, it's like number one, we cut no trees. No trees can be cut on this property. And they went, what? I said, no trees. Don't cut a tree. If you cut a tree, move the house. Don't cut the tree. And they didn't like that. And they wanted to cut everything down and start over again. I said, you're not going to plant over again. Why would you have to plant again when you have all these trees here? And it's like, and all these trees are growing there. And what's growing in them is bromeliads and orchids. It's like all these trees are there. And the junk trees, which they actually are, it's a type of tree that they use in building fences there. Because in poorer countries, you just use the trees to build fences. Well, if you cut certain things and you stick them in the soil, they'll grow roots. And so they had all these little short, ugly trees all over the place. And they were the fence line. And so I said, just run the road right along here. And they went, what? I said, yeah, that way it won't matter. And it doesn't. And so we put in all the roadways and stuff. We did everything. I said, no, we're not having concrete roadways. I said, I don't want this place to be normal. I want it to be something that works with the earth. And so we did. I said, I want separate casitas so that they have a little place. So it feels like little barrios. So it's like little villages on the same property. Well, we had these people who came in that were supposedly the best, who knew how to do, the right way of building a hotel. And they said, you should take 2 acres of this and build this hotel and sell off the rest. And I said, goodbye. I said goodbye to more people. And they, so it's like, so we finally got it built. And one of the first people we had come to stay there said to me, oh my God, this place feels like it's been here forever. And I know it'll last for 100 years. And I thought, that's fucking funny, because I never said that. But she got it, she got my intent. And the pool and bar is just stunning. And it's like everything about the place is unique. And I started out wanting to have all the furniture built in Costa Rica. And then when I saw what they built, I went, no, this is too ugly. So I started going in and buying cheap antiques in Texas and sending them down there. And I bought the least expensive, quote unquote, antique furniture you could buy. But in there, it looks stunning. And so you have this sense of peace, you have this sense of timelessness, you have this sense of possibility. And it's like, it has turned out wonderful. Then we also wanted to be ecologically sound, because one of the things I did in Costa Rica is I went to ecologically sound places, and they would have one light bulb in the room that was 25 watts, and that was ecologically sound. I said, I'm old, I can't see, I need more light than this. So I said, I want to be able to deliver, a comfortable, and also they only had, like 3 minutes of hot water a day for your personal shower. And it's like, I'm sorry, I don't do well with just 3 minutes. I can't even wash my hair in 3 minutes. Get real. I bet you can't wash your hair in 3 minutes. You had too much hair.
It would take more than 3 minutes to take a
Yeah.
shower for sure.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I wanted this to have plenty of hot water. I wanted all this. So I hired this guy from England to come in with a system, and he came in with a system, and he created a system that would create air conditioning and hot water at the same time. And so we have air conditioning and hot water, and you have hot water all the time. And it's like the place works all the time. And it's just amazing. And you have plenty of light, and you can see, and it has lamps and lights, and and it's great.
I'm
Now, I love
curious.
that.
I'm curious what you're using to create all that.
Electricity.
Okay.
We're also creating a biodigesting system that will provide all the electricity we need. So we will be self-sustainable, which is what I wanted, because I didn't want to be on the local grid.
Right. It
So
sounds
we're doing an eco-friendly, elegant, you know, comfortable resort. Everything's comfortable, everything's beautiful, and everything's elegant. It's got to be elegant, comfortable, and nice. I've sent a carriage down from the United States that has black horses. It's a white carriage with black horses that greets you at the entranceway and takes you to your room. I hired, I got oxen carts to carry your luggage for you. So after you get there, the oxen cart will pull up with your luggage in it to be delivered to your room.
that is, I'm speechless. And what I love about just listening to the story of how this was created is, sometimes that's what it takes to create the
Yeah,
vision that was given to you, is that we have to say no to a lot of things before it becomes yes, because it hasn't ever been created before. It's not going to
exactly.
be easy.
And that's actually the brilliance it takes to be the humanoid you actually are. Now we're talking about the weird stuff of access. We have the idea that they're humans and humanoids.
Mm.
Humans always tell you can't do it that way, it's not done that way, and you shouldn't do it that way. Humanoids will go, how do I do this? Can I do this? And let's do it. And it's like, and humanoids are the people who create all the great stuff in the world, the art, the literature, everything. Those are all humanoids. Humans want to live a normal life and want to be like everybody else. Humanoids are like you. They're never going to be like anybody else.
I love that you say, I have a saying, I say, do you want to live a human life, or do you want to evolve what it is to be human?
Yeah.
And that's a never ending question, right? Because as
Yeah.
soon as you evolve, there's more.
Yeah. But only humanoids evolve. Humans don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't mean anything. It's just, it's like, as one judge said, because I put that in a book. And so this kids away from her. And she was a really nice, good mother. And she had come into the family. She had come from money herself. And so she had money. So she was taking good care of her kids. He had none, but he thought he should have the kids and she should pay him child support. And so, so he took her to court. And the judge read the book and he says, oh, he's not talking about a difference. He's talking about a classier set of beings, not a classier set of humans, not a difference.
Mm.
And I thought that was funny. The judge saw what I was talking about, but the judge was a humanoid.
That's so fun. And gosh, there's something that was coming in with that. I feel like, okay, I would love to go this way. I love that we kind of took the conversation in this way of, because people that are listening are, if we're going to identify as something, are going to be more on that humanoid level.
Anybody who's listening to your podcast is a humanoid. Okay. Because they don't look for things about differences. They look for things about sameness if they're human.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
rightness of their point of view is all they care about.
Mm. Well, let's open up to just what that life has been like, because you clearly are. I mean, oh, are we born this way? Do we become this way? For me, I see that you were born that way. I can just see in in that. So I want to talk a little bit about, I know you had a period of time where you were a partier, which is funny because I was as well. I actually got kicked out of the house when I was 16.
Of course you did.
But I want to hear more about your story, and then going into a little bit of your philosophies and how you, if I don't really necessarily love that word, but for lack of a better word, of how you would guide people to kind of mastering their humanoid.
Well, mastering your humanoid, mastering life is about asking a question.
Mhm.
See, if you come to conclusions or you're looking for an answer, you're looking to complete
Mhm.
answers and rightness and necessity of being like others. is always a completion. It's never a possibility. And
Mhm.
as a humanoid, you need to ask questions. And I always have been, I was one who asked questions. Okay. I was the strange little kid in the neighborhood who asked questions. When I was 13, I used to go around to all my neighbors and I'd ask them questions. And they all loved me
Mhm.
because I never told them anything about me. I just asked them questions about them. And I was very interested in what their life was. And it's like, and I learned to use that technique to get laid a lot too. You know, if you're interested, people will tend to think you're interesting. And
Mhm.
if you are interested in others and ask them questions, they will tend to think you're wonderful and want to do things with you, for you, or to you. One of the two, three, one of the three. So it's like I use that as a technique to get laid a lot when I was in my drug, sex, and rock and roll days. And it's like I still recommend that to guys. Learn how to cook 3 good meals. Then you can have somebody over 3 times. And after 3 times, you're either done with them or you're ready to move on to somebody else, or you're actually having a good time and want to keep them.
Mhm.
So just learn how to do 3 good meals, get good wine, smoke good dope. But I wouldn't recommend that these days since I've discovered that my poetry wasn't any good when I was on dope. But I used to do that. And then at the end of the evening, I ask them questions about themselves and be interested in what their life had been like. And at the end of the evening, I said, would you like me to take you home? And most of them go, no, I think I'll spend the night.
Mhm.
They would say it. I didn't have to invite them. Nyeh, 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 nyeh.
What I love about this story that you just told is when we are holding consciousness and we're aware of different things that we do create different, you could
Yeah.
say, repeated realities, that we can start to gamify it. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily about manipulation, but there's an
Yes,
awareness
it is.
there.
And that's a good thing.
Well, if you use
Manipulation is
it.
not bad. Everybody thinks manipulation is bad. But it's like if you're not willing to manipulation, you think manipulation is bad, you will always get manipulated.
Oh, that's interesting. I think maybe when I hear the word manipulation, I feel like there's two different ways because do feel like there can be manipulation that maybe isn't serving. But when you use manipulation as in molding, as in I'm going to
Yeah.
shape this to
That's not
create a
manipulation.
reality.
That's not manipulation.
So explain to me
That's
what
domination.
domination. Okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, that's a good way of seeing it.
Yeah. When you try to use techniques to get control over people, that's domination. That's not manipulation.
Okay, beautifully
Manipulation
said.
is what you do to get people to see a different possibility. If
Mm,
you've ever argued, and it's like I was in a debate class when I was in high school, and I had to learn to manipulate the situation so people could see a different view.
mhm.
And it's like manipulation is about different views, not about getting control over. Domination is about getting control over.
That is, thank you for bringing that to light because I feel like manipulation is a word where a lot of people see that as, and I think, and it's all terminology, right? And it's all the belief systems and all of this, but the way that you just created that, because when I use manipulation, I use it a lot when I talk about manipulating energy and frequency,
Yeah,
and it can be heard in a negative way. So I really appreciate you defining that in a way that I will use that moving forward, so thank you.
good. Yeah. It's like the thing is that when you realize, it's like people call it manipulation in order to make it a bad thing.
Mm,
Okay. And they talk about manipulation as being bad, but manipulation can be as simple as asking a question.
mhm,
It's like I went to a garage sale one time and it's like I picked up this box and it had a little bracelet in it and it said 1500. And I looked at the lady and I said, how much is this? And she goes, it's $15 and it's 14 karat gold. I had seen 3 dealers pick it up. They thought it was $1,500. I asked a question and I got it for $15. What was it worth? $950.
That is such a great story.
Yeah.
And
Always
that
ask a
goes back to
question
the
because you
awareness,
never know what people really mean by what they put
right?
down on a piece of paper.
Right. Yeah, I'm just kind of feeling into that experience and the people that walked by and assumed, right?
Hmm.
And because they were only singing it through their programming. And then
Yeah.
you come along and there's a hit of, oh, ask the question for more
Yeah.
clarity.
But you see, it's like I learned long ago, ask a question. The
Mhm.
question will give you more clarity. What are
Yeah.
you looking for in life? I want more clarity. I don't want the result. I want more clarity.
Mhm.
More clarity opens doors of possibility for me.
Possibility is what it's all about.
Yeah.
So let's bring the possibilities into your book that I know you
Okay.
have a new book and I want to talk a little bit about that. So
Okay.
I'll just turn it over and let you tell us about
Yes. It's called it's called allowance, the gift of allowance. See, it's like if you allow people to be who they are, then you become a gift. You see, it's like if I don't judge you as anything, but I just look at you as you, and I have no judgment of you, then I'm allowing you to be you. Then you will show me what you are. You will show me what you will do, and you will show me everything you will be. And I have allowance for everybody. And it's like, and in so doing, I find that they always show me what they're going to do bad, what they're going to do good, and what they're going to do that's mediocre and stupid. And the only allowance I don't have is I don't have allowance for stupid people. Please don't be stupid in
it.
front of me.
Oh my gosh, you're too good. Uh, Wait, there was something that wanted to come in with that. Oh, I want to go back. So, yes, what I love about what you said is I do feel as we evolve as humans or humanoids, that is going to be the new way that we're connecting in relationship is through allowance. Because
Yes.
in that, we're not bringing our trauma. I'm over the trauma bonding. And what you just brought through is a new way of connecting with somebody in a place of
Yes.
purity.
Well, it's something that we need after COVID and emojis. You know, I think emojis are the guarantee of stupidity in the world. It's like people use emojis. What the fuck does that mean? This smiley face with tears? What does that mean? How do I interpret that? So we have a class that we do in Access called Right Voice for You. And so I said, okay, I want you to take these people and I want you to write a sentence down and then ask them to put that sentence into all emojis
Interesting.
and then have people tell you what they see when they look at that sentence of emojis.
Mhm.
Because I don't think emojis say anything personally. I hate to say it, but I think you need to learn how to spell.
Well, we have spell check for that too.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm
But does
just
spell
curious.
check work on I never tried that. Does spell check work on an emoji?
Oh no, not on an emoji.
Oh, okay.
No, 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 no.
Damn.
Yeah, but it does on words. And you know what I think is interesting is I feel like there's actually a flip side to that is I used to see this more with my two daughters because they're both very intuitive and almost telepathic. And they can see an emoji and know the frequency of where it's being taken from. And they don't need a word, they just need the symbol and they know what's being said. So I feel like there's a little bit of a level of that that can be done if it's done in the right way.
Yes, if they're psychic like you, okay? You don't get that your kids are different because they're humanoid kids.
Mhm.
They know things other people don't know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And it's like, I got a big kick because one of my grandsons, it's like when he was little, he would let anybody play with his toys.
Mhm.
He would share. And
Mhm.
he'd say, he won't give me my toy back. I said, how did you ask him? I said, I want my toy. I said, no, go over and say, can I have my toy, please? And he
Mhm.
walked over and did that. And they went, oh, sure. And gave it to him.
Mm.
And he learned how to manipulate by asking. He's
That is
smart. He
beautiful.
was 2 when he learned that.
How old is he now?
He's 12 and he's so friggin' smart. It's like he just got invited to be on a special panel at West Point, and he may get that. We'll see. We'll know by the middle of March. But I hope he does because he's just so smart. He's so smart. He has the vocabulary of a 40-year-old.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I have a friend who's autistic who is like, he's basically an astrophysicist in a normal body, you know, and he can talk to him about things and he'll talk to the kid and the kid understands him and the kid tells him things and he understands him. And the two of them get along like a house of fire. Now,
Mm,
this kid was considered retarded when he was 14.
mm,
This guy was considered a retard when he was 14. One of the most brilliant minds I've ever met. He can create algorithms that create money. He
mm.
can do all kinds of stuff. And he's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant mind. And everybody told him he was retarded. And I said, dude, you're not retarded. Luckily, his mother sent him to live with me for a month when he was 14. And he was ready to commit suicide
Mm.
because he thought he had no value. And I taught him he had value.
I feel like this is I've heard stories like this before,
Yeah.
and I grew up with a learning disability, and my daughter has a learning disability as well, and there's labels that you can put on people that it's not helpful and it actually limits them. And it's but what I love about your story is that what they're saying isn't the only thing that's being said. And if we back
Yeah.
up that system with people that are aware, we can shift everything.
Yes, I agree. It's like I have this lady, Ann Maxwell, who wrote a book called You Wouldn't Teach a Fish to Climb a Tree,
Mm,
which is actually a Einstein quote.
mm,
And it's like literally we look at autistic kids and the kids that are labeled as not a disability, but an evolution of the species to a higher order, which is why they can interpret emojis.
mhm,
So they're not disabled, they're highly abled. It's like there was Temple Grandin. There was a movie about her, and she was an autistic woman, and she's now a professor in a college in Colorado. And she was just brilliant in the way she saw things. Well, the thing is that it's like what kids who are labeled autistic have is they have a no right brain, left brain function. They have a whole brain function, and they are brilliant and amazing at things. And I always ask them what they know, and they will like spout all this stuff, and I go, "Cool," you know, and they go, "Nobody ever asked me that before." Yeah, I know. And it's like, it's just miraculous to me to see what a question can do and what a question can create in the world by you being willing to see greater possibilities. And that's what you're doing with your podcast, which I think is wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for bringing the possibilities. Just I can feel everyone that's listening, and I love doing podcasts in that way. Is kind of tapping into how it's being received,
Yeah.
and I feel some excitement. And I also hear people saying, "Wow, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to start asking more questions." I mean, what a
Yes.
wonderful way to live life.
Well, I mean, one of the things I do is give people a set of questions. Okay. So, like, for instance, one of the greatest tools you can do is what is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how do I change it? So it's like you do, what is this? And it's like you look at something and you go, okay, it's like this is not manipulation. This is domination.
Mm,
Okay. What do I do with it? Okay. I can let this person dominate me, or I can manipulate them out of it by asking them a question.
mhm,
What do I do with it? Oh, I ask a question. Can I change it? Oh, no, I can't. This person is totally fixed in their point of view, and you don't bother. So it
mhm.
saves you a lot of time, those 4 questions. And the other thing is I ask you to ask questions like, okay, what else is possible here? And how does it get any better than this? And what's right about me I'm not getting? Anytime you go to, oh, what's wrong with me that I can't do this, is a lie. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something right about you you're not willing to get.
Mm.
So what's right about you, you're not getting. And if you start to live from those points of view, you start to find that the world opens up to you and gives you amazing answers. The world is our oyster, but the only way you're going to eat it is if you open the fucking shell.
That was so good. And I remember reading that quote that you just said is not what's wrong, what's right with you.
Yeah,
And
what's
are
right
you
about me?
willing to follow that too?
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to even maybe know, okay, this is what's right about me, but what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do
What
with
do I
it?
do with this? That's the thing about, okay, what is this? What do I do with it? Can I change it? And if so, how do I change it?
Just, I mean, we make it so complicated when it's so freaking easy.
Yes, I know. And it's like the thing is, I always tell people I try to make it easy because I'm too friggin' stupid and I'm simple. I'm just simple. That's all,
Mhm.
because it's like I can't do technical stuff. Okay. I'm really bad at it. I don't understand it. And I have killed 3 motherboards on computers. Killed them. Gone. Never been able to retrieve anything from them. I went, hmm, okay, maybe I should stop doing some of this stuff. So
Mhm.
now I get smart and I ask, Brett to come over and help me with these kind of things. And, it's like I ask people to do different things for me because I learned I'm not good at it. And if I'm not good at it, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means I'm not good at it, you
Exactly.
know? But can I ride a horse, man? I can ride a horse like nobody's business.
Mm.
But it's like, I can't do a car, but I can ride a horse. I can guarantee you I can ride horses nobody else can ride.
Mm.
I have been
That's
able to do it my whole life, but I have communication with horses that I don't have with machines.
fair enough. And we put our energy into the things that
Yeah,
are our rights, right? Or like, how did you say it? Oh, what's the rights part of us is what we
yeah,
keep pouring our energy. And it doesn't mean
yeah.
that the other things are wrong or bad. They're just not where we're putting our energy.
And they're not where we can go. It's
Right.
like I run 16 businesses. Okay. I get up in the morning and go, okay, where do I need to put my attention today? And I always know. And I
Mm.
go do it. And it's like it gets handled. And I can run 16 businesses, which are in 4 different countries from my bed. That's my office.
Well, and so I have to let everybody know that we're both in our bedrooms right now.
Yeah.
His is more disguised than mine, but
Yes. Well, I have some sitting, I have such a big bedroom. I have sitting rooms in my bedroom. It's good.
it's beautiful. And then I have my little tiny space in my daughter's house right now, which is also beautiful. I adore it.
Yes, but that's partially because you adore your daughter
I do.
and you deserve to, and she deserves you, which is very
Aw,
cool.
thank you. Thank you. Well, let's see, Gary, is there anything that you feel that needs to be said that hasn't been said? I always like to ask that question before we wrap
Yeah.
things up.
Use the mantra of access. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. All of life, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Mm.
comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Ease means it doesn't have to be hard. It's not a penis. It's like joy is, the willingness to have the ease and the joy and the sense of possibility with it. And glory is exuberant expression and abundance.
Mm.
Your life, if you let your life be ease, joy, and glory, you will have abundance. You will have everything you desire. Just choose it. Just choose it. Just choose it.
Beautifully said. Beautifully
Thank you.
said. And thank you. And this has been such an amazing and fun conversation. I
Thank
always
you.
like love it when people bring profound information, but they do it in a really like light, fun way, if you will.
Yes. Well, it's like I am not a very, It's like, as one person said, I loved you because you were irreverent and you didn't use proper speak. You would say the word fuck, and I use the word fuck all the time. I don't care. I'll use any word. Words only mean what they do. And fuck meant fornication under consent of the king, which is what the nobility had. They had the right to have first dibs on every woman.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
just
it's kind of
learned
really awful.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I learned all sorts of fun and
Cool.
exciting
Thank
things.
you.
I'm going to put the links in the show notes to
Thank you.
tell us again what it is, the place in Costa Rica, El
L dash Lugar,
Lugar.
Lugar, ELLUGAR.com.
Beautiful. And then we'll also put the link for your book and your websites there
Thank you.
as
Thank
well.
you so much.
Thank you,
You're
Gary.
so wonderful and you're so beautiful. How old are you? 22?
I know. I'm gonna actually be 51 on Pi Day.
Wow.
Yes.
You don't look anywhere near that. Well done, honey.
Thank you. I appreciate
Cool.
that.
Cool. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much, Gary.
Bye.
And thanks
Thank
everyone
you.
for listening. And until we meet again, we're sending you so much love and lots of quantum hugs. And until we meet again. Thank
Bye.
you, Gary. Bye-bye. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Thank you, dear one.
You too. Bye-bye.